Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be making cranberry sauce with the whole berry. If you'd like to see me do that, stay tuned. It's that time of the year where cranberries are in the stores, and sometimes you might even be able to find them on sale. I was able to find some cranberries on sale for 99 cents a bag. I picked up about 4 bags and I already had actually 1 quart in the freezer. So today I'm going to use the old cranberries that were in the freezer and I'm going to turn these into cranberry sauce to get them out of the freezer and continue to rotate my food that I'm freezing. So let's get started. I've already rinsed, washed, and sorted my berries. They were in the freezer, so they look a little wrinkly, but that's what happens when you freeze cranberries. I'm going to turn on the stove. Excuse the noise. I have another canning project that is coming to an end. And of course, I have 2 dogs and they make noise. So the stove is on. I'm going to add my cranberries first because I need to add my liquid. I'm not adding a lot of water, but I'm going to dump everything in the pot all at once. Instead of using sugar, I'm going to use orange juice. This is a pulp-free with no sugar added. It's a concentrate. I came across this in Walmart and it made me think about my dad. My dad used to buy these when I think was in high school, and I was talking to my mom about it and I said, do you remember those jars of juice that Pop used to get? They used to actually come in a paper container and the bottom and the lid was metal, but this is all plastic. So you just put that in your container like so. In your pot, and you fill your cup up with water. Now if you were making this to drink, I want to say you would use 4 of these. Let me double check. You would use 3 of these if you were making this to drink. I'm going to start out with 2 and I just fill it up and pour it in just like that. Now I'm going to let this come to a boil and then I'm going to taste it. If it tastes like it needs sugar added, I will add sugar. But for right now, I'm going to leave it as is and not add any sugar. So I'm just going to give this a stir. Right now I have the eye on medium. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and then once I do that, I'll be right back. You're supposed to let your berries come up to a boil. I stepped away for just a second to let my dog out, one of them anyway. And this is what I came back to. My goodness, it's supposed to boil for 5 minutes and the berries are going to begin to pop. You let it sit for 5 minutes unstirred. Now I always have a problem with that because when you don't stir it, you get all that big froth and it could possibly boil over. So I like to kind of stir it, keep it moving around while my berries are popping, but you do what you feel like doing. I am following somewhat, not quite all together, but I'm using the Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving. If you are interested in making your own cranberry sauce, they have it in 2 versions, the gelled and whole berry, on page 21. Now they use sugar. I use orange juice. My husband made for us for the first time in 2017 homemade cranberry sauce, and he used juice, and so I've been using juice ever since. So I don't use additional sugar, I use juice. This is the first time me using concentrate. I normally just get the ready-made store-bought juice, but I wanted to try that because like I said, I was feeling nostalgic. And so I'm just going to let this boil for 5 minutes. My timer is already going. And once this finishes 5 minutes on boil, I will begin to jar it up. And this will need to be water bath canned for 10 minutes, I do believe. Let's check. Check in the book. The book says, let me see. Y'all have to excuse me. Boil for 5. Yes. I'm sorry, no, 15 minutes. You have to let it boil for 15 minutes. So I'm gonna let it boil and I'll be right back. That's water bath can for 15 minutes. Boil for 5. The timer is going off for that 5 minutes. I'm gonna clear the timer, set it for 15 and get it ready. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the eye. As you can see, it is boiling and it does get this foam on it. Now what I like to do is just take the back of my spoon and lightly press my berries just to kind of release them if they haven't quite popped just yet. I'm not going to use my stick blender and blend this down. I like a little wholeness to the berries. So I'm going to do this and then I'm going to jar it up. So when I get to jarring, I'll be right back. You don't need a pectin when you are using cranberries. Cranberries has enough pectin in it that it will gel your food just fine. Now I am going to taste it just a little bit to see if I need to add any sugar. It is hot, so I'm going to give it a chance to sit and cool off. I don't want to burn my mouth. Yeah, I'm not going to add any additional sugar. I think it's fine. Now, if you don't like seeds or anything like that, you might want to blend it because I do have a little bit of that seed in there, but I'm okay with that. So now I'm going to go ahead on and jar these up. As I stir it, I can feel that it does feel like it's thickening some, which I'm excited about. So I'm actually going to place this in a 8-ounce jar. I don't want it in a pint, and so let me get my jars. My jars have come out of the dishwasher, and I put my lids were also in the dishwasher. I put my lids on top of my jars. That way nothing gets in them while I'm waiting to use them. So everything that you see here has been cleaned in the dishwasher. So I'm just going to take that lid off, get my funnel, and ladle in my 8-ounce jars to a 1/2-inch headspace my cranberry sauce. And I just know this is going to be a mess. Can you guys see that? Beautiful. And it has a lovely taste to it. I'm very pleased. I'm happy to be able to put this on the shelf, as well as use cranberries that have been sitting in the freezer for a while and make room for the new purchase. Now I use cranberry sauce for more than just a condiment at Thanksgiving. If I make a pot pie, I may use cranberry sauce on my pot pie. I love homemade pot pies. If I make a sandwich, a turkey sandwich, I will put cranberry sauce on it. The sky's the limit. Use your sauce how you want to use your sauce. Now I am going to get my hot glove and I'm going to move my jar over and then ladle in this jar. So I'm going to fill my jars. You've already seen me fill one. Now you're watching me fill the second. I'm going to take it to a 1/2-inch headspace, and then I will be back when they are all done. Now I'm using a Tattler lid for my last lid. I can tell you that I have used Tattler lids on several projects, and I want to say I've had roughly 5 to 4 to 5, maybe even 6, I can't quite remember, jars not seal for me. I have not had 100% seal rate with my Tattler lids, and so I can't say I'm 100% happy with them, but I am continuing to try them. This lid is being used for the second time. What I've been doing is using a Sharpie and marking a mark on the actual gasket on the bottom that actually sits on top of the jar, and that way I know how many times I've used that gasket. But this one is going to go in the refrigerator, so I put a Tattler lid. I've been using Tattler lids on items that I'm going to use first, or something that I want to try, so that's why I have a Tattler lid on this one. I used button top on the others, but I did forget to debubble, so I have to go back and do that. Sometimes you forget, but the best thing to do is to make sure that you have your steps in your head. And I got to the last jar and I was like, ooh, forgot to debubble. So I'm going to take care of that right now. The canner is ready. I've just emptied it out, cleaned it out, and now it is ready for my water bath. I just finished canning, pressure canning. So I'm going to turn the stove on to high, and I'm going to place my cranberry sauce. Look at that cranberry sauce, y'all. Beautiful. I'm going to place my cranberry sauce in my canner. I'm going to need to put, or I'm going to have to put more water in here because I do not have enough water. I thought I might, but then I thought, maybe not. And I do not have enough water. So I'm going to add enough water to have 1 inch of water over the top of the jars. And even with adding that last jar, it's just barely covering. So I'm going to put some more water in here. The water that I am adding from the sink is hot to the touch. So I'm just going to pour it in. Like so. And I'm going to take my measurer to see if I have 1 inch. And if I don't, I'll add more. My debubbler is old, it has seen better days, and it has been a little bit eaten up in the dishwasher, but it still works. I took a Sharpie and I marked on here my measurements, and so it is exactly 1 inch of water with a smidgen over. But I am going to put just a tiny bit more water just to make certain. It's only going to boil for 15 minutes, but I don't want to lose any of the water as it's coming up to boil, and then it begins to boil. So I'm going to put just a tiny bit more water in there, and I'm going to wait for it to come up to boil. I'm going to place my canning lid just slightly ajar, and I'm going to wait for this to come up to boil. Once it gives me a roaring boil, I'm going to can it for 15 minutes. So I'll be back. It's time to turn off the heat and let it rest for 5 minutes. I let it rest until it's not boiling. Then I take my jars out. So I'll be back when it's time to take out the jars. The cranberry sauce is done, so now it is time to get it out of the canner. I try to be careful with my handles because oftentimes my handles are hot. I turn my lid away from me so that I don't get a face full of steam and I don't get hot water dripping all over the place. It does drip when you take your lid off. I'm going to place it off to the side, and it looks like I have minimal leakage siphoning. Let's see here. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to take these out and I'll be right back. My canning session for the evening is done, and I have 6 beautiful 8-ounce jars of cranberry sauce with whole cranberries. I want to thank you for watching my canning series. I hope you're enjoying the content that I'm bringing to you. If you are, do me a favor, hit that like button, share my video. If you'd like to see more content like this, as well as my garden content, hit that notification bell. I upload videos twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I have the occasional video that might come out any other day of the week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you either in the kitchen or the garden real soon. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Bye for now.